Spencer is.
No, no, no.
Supervisors who are joining online, remember to unmute yourself when you announce you're here during roll call, please.
Going to be an interesting couple of months. Going to be an interesting couple of months. Not that you're counting.
I have to drive in here. And not to go to the ditch.
Ice and adrenaline. So you were also adrenalized. It's always like this.
Cars in the ditch.
We recording?
Yep.
All right, folks, it's that time. So if y'all want to find your spots, I will go ahead and call this meeting of the Dunn County Board of Supervisors to order, and we will begin, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if the clerk will call the roll.
Supervisor Lawfer is present. Supervisor Breslin is not here. Okay, Supervisor Headland is here. Supervisor Score is here. Supervisor Steen is here. Supervisor Shackleton is present. Supervisor Gary Bjork is here. Supervisor Wilsey is here. Supervisor Quinn
Here.
is online. Supervisor Jetson is here. Supervisor Bashan is here. Supervisor Kinnear is here. Supervisor Barrier is here. Supervisor Welsh, I believe, is online and is waving her presence to be known. Supervisor Lyon is here. Supervisor Vogel is here. Supervisor Story. Supervisor Gentz
Here.
is here. Supervisor Burnt
Here.
is here. Supervisor Morehouse is here. Supervisor Hagan is present. Supervisor Thomas is present. Supervisor Prochnow.
Oh, no.
Supervisor Gilbert is here. Supervisor Larry Bjork is here. Supervisor Bauer is here. Supervisor Wolf is here. Supervisor Hartung
Haven't heard.
and Chair McCullough.
Apparently. All right, on to approval of the minutes. I would need a motion in a second. Supervisor Morehouse and Supervisor Steen were first off the gun on that.
Chair
So
McCullough, I have one edit. On page 1 of the minutes from January 21st, 2026, there was a typo that said Dan Dunbard instead of Dan Dunbar. Dan Dunbard is his minstrel name when he uses his lute. So we fixed it subsequently.
but only in World of Warcraft. All right. With that correction, does anyone else have any speaking to the minutes? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, minutes are approved. Presentation of petitions, memorials, and other communications. I don't have anything broadly, but I'm going to make a note here. I want to say a few brief words, very brief, because I will be attending remotely in March. My wife is getting a major award in her field, and as much as I like being here with all of you, I like being married more. So this is my last in-person meeting as county board chair in this term. In light of that, I wanted to say thank you to you all. This is not a particularly glamorous job, but is an important one, and you are doing a real service to your community by being willing to step up and do the work. You should be proud of that, and I am proud of all of you. I would like to say a special thank you to all the members who are retiring after this term and who will not be returning in April. You did good work and you earned the right to step away with pride. For those who, like myself, have chosen to run for re-election, it's going to be an exciting couple of months. Remember to enjoy the ride. And that's all I've got there. All right, moving on. Public comment, only to items on the agenda. I think I recognize everybody in the room, so probably not. Yep, sounds like we are good for public comment. Moving on to appointments. This is the very, very rare county board meeting where we have no appointments. I think there have been two while I've been chair. Report of the county manager. Dan, take it away.
First item on there is purchases over 40,000. You see that there are 4 vehicles purchased from Northtown Ford for the Sheriff's Department. Does anybody have any questions about what those might be? All right. Those are the only ones that we have right now. The next item that we want to talk about, I wanted to give you a little update on our ERP project as we've been moving forward with that, and we're getting very close to the end. This month would normally be the month that the finance department would give their annual report, and I told Brittany, our new CFO, I'd be nice to her, but she is going to be participating in this update on the ERP as well. So not completely nice, but I'm going to, so she'll be up here in a little bit to talk a little bit about that. So the ERP, I think everybody's aware of what this is. This is a project that we're replacing our finance system with, and I just wanted to show you a little bit about what's going to be happening as far as changes, what you're going to see as county board supervisors, and let you know kind of what that timeline looks like so that you know not to ask us any questions in the next few weeks. So what is changing? We're time and attendance. So that's how we punch in, employees punching a time clock when they come in the morning, leave at the end of the day, submitting their leave requests, tracking all of their leave requests. That system is being replaced. Payroll, which is really taking that time information and matching it up to salaries in order to get checks to the bank. And then our accounts receivable, how we bill people for services that we have or receive money for licenses, fees, which is what we would call cash receipting, accounts payable, money going out the door. So our purchase requests, what that whole process looks like going forward, as far as the workflow and the approvals that are going to happen. And then our budgeting system is going to change with this new system. So just a few things that are changing. So this next slide I wanted to go through, and I think we harp so much on how much from a staff standpoint we loathe SAP. So this is the process that would happen if an employee came into work one day, punched in and said, you know what, I'd like to know how many hours I have so far this week. So as you can follow through this, so the employee recognizes this, they have to reach out to their manager and they need to ask. So they don't have access to that information. The manager then would want to go do that. Well, they have to approve that punch that the employee just made, and then they have to wait 30 minutes. Why? We don't know, but you have to wait. And after you wait a little while, you go into our system and you type in PA61. Why? I don't know. That's just the code that you type in order to be able to look in and make any adjustments to time that may need to be made. After you make those corrections, you get to wait another 30 minutes, just for fun. Then you type in PT_BAL00, and then you get to go look up an employee, say which period that you're looking for, and then hit execute. And when you execute, you'll get something like the thing down in the lower right-hand corner, which looks like pay and how many hours that somebody has put in a day. So then we need to break that down. How many is this week and how many is next week? And how do we add the vacation and the other time that's been put in there? That's what that process looks like right now. For the most part, most managers spend their Thursdays right before the end of a pay cycle, or maybe every week, sending out this report to their staff just to get ahead of them so that we can hit 40 hours at the end of a week. So what does that look like in our new system? Well, the employee is going to log in and it's just going to tell them right up on the screen, you have 40 hours in and 5 hours of overtime. Doesn't have to do the math, doesn't have to ask their manager, and that information is going to pop right out. So this is something that you'll hear a lot about managers and the amount of time that they put into that system. That's just one example of what that looks like from an employee or from a staff perspective, as well as a great service to our employees to be able to know exactly where they are and easily request time. And this is going to be available to them on a mobile app or on a computer so they could actually get this information from home. And I kind of put it in there that the system that we're using for time and attendance is called UKG, the company is UKG. So that's where that UKG comes from. The next thing is just another example of what we do right now and what that looks like. So this is our current process for cash receipting. So somebody comes up and gives you a $20 check for, what's a marriage license go for now, Andrew? $100, $100 for a marriage license. So someone in Andrew's office would go in there and they type in FVC, oh, it's CJ, not CV, but they type in that code because they know it. So then the next thing that they do, this screen kind of pops up and every one of those boxes across the top has to get filled in. And they're filled in with numbers. So a 10-digit code, which refers to what we would call our cost center. There's a 5-digit code that's going to refer to the account that they have. They're going to have to type in the amount that they need. If there's a grant, there's another 3 fields they have to fill in order to get that done. So you can imagine the amount of time that takes, not to mention typing all of that information and the chance for error that happens throughout that. So what's that going to look like in our next system? So you're going to go up to the system and you're going to say cash receipt, and it's going to pop up the cash receipt window for you to be able to do this. If you had an invoice, so if an invoice had sent out to the person and they have it with it, you can scan the barcode and it'll actually fill in all of the information for you. If not, if this is just truly somebody walking up for a marriage license, you don't bill people for a marriage license, right? So they walk up, you would enter in the name of the individual, start typing it in. If they've been a customer before, it'll automatically fill in all of their information, address, into that top section up there. And then down at the bottom, you'll see where it says new record over here. You hit that plus sign and you say marriage license. And it'll pull in a marriage license. It'll know that it's $100 and boom, you're done. It already knows all of those codes that we needed to type in are built inside of, we know every marriage license is going to cost $100 and it's all going to go to this account in the end. So taking away all of those chances for error, as well as saving a whole bunch of time. And when you talk about the complexity of knowing those 20 different character strings that you need to know, any employee without an in-depth understanding of our entire chart of accounts would be able to give somebody a marriage license and account for that. So really simplifying the way we do things and minimizing the amount of errors that happen as a part of it. So those are just a couple of the examples that we have. And I'm forgetting my slides because I was so prepared. This is built like a month ago. It was done like an hour ago, just so everybody's aware. Is this the next slide? All right.
So Dan gave 2 examples of how it's going to help employees. This is kind of what is going to impact finance and all of us. The chart of accounts, we have officially mapped all of the approved budget lines for revenues and expenses to the new GL strings. That was complete. And it is fantastic. The new chart is going to have a lot more detail. So right now you have a lot of generic titles. Operating supplies is a great example within patrol. That is now going to be broken out within about 50 different options. really narrowing in what do they spend that money on. And then you guys know just how much you approved $100,000 under that line. Now we can know what all of that was for. Once we have all of this within the new system, we are going to be bringing you guys a full budget adjustment so you guys can know where all of that money went. It's going to take some time to get there. We're hoping next month, month after. So this is an example. You guys are kind of used to seeing it in the format at the bottom. This is just what it's going to look like now. So your chart of accounts is still a long string of numbers, but they all mean something and they don't necessarily have to have them memorized. So down at the bottom, you're going to see the fund is the general fund. That's what we're paying it out of. Department division, we're going to have who is it for? This one is going to be patrol. And then the account name is kind of what is it for? Then this one is going to be for law enforcement fees. There's plenty of different options from taxes and general property or law enforcement, land conservation. We had one today, meat processing. Then object code is what it is. So really narrowing it down to the absolute bottom. And then the very long full string, I have a lot of them memorized. No one will need to because you should be able to search by object code or account name. Dan kind of talked about cash receipting. They should be able to type in transcripts and it will show up. Right now you have to have everything memorized and I am having a fun time 4 weeks in trying to know them all. So this should be able, any employee getting started can do this. This is our schedule for the next month and a half. March 2nd, we are going to stop using SAP for daily operations. We will still have access to it for all of our data for the year. We are going to be able to transition that over. Day 1 in BSNA, we will be importing our balances as of December 31st of 2025. The auditors are going to have that done for us. So just a quick trial balance, something that they already do within the normal audit, but we're going to have this ahead of time so that we can start using BSNA. The 2026 budget, like I said, it is all mapped out and this will be entered as well. So they will be able to see what their accounts were at 2025, what you guys approved, and they will already know what they are working with. Staff are currently tracking every activity that they are doing in February because we are going to use that to train them. So instead of coming up with generic items or waiting for customers to come in, they will actually have cash receipts that they will now enter into BSNA. We're going to use those to compare back to SAP, figure out if we missed anything. So it won't be duplicate entry in the sense of it won't be on our books twice, it'll be duplicate entry for training. Then that will also be on-site staff will be here to help them. So it's not going to be me and Dan having to help everybody get there. We will have a team of people training. January data is going to be coming either late in the month or April. We're going to be again using BSNA, comparing it to SAP, taking out the February, and then we should have a January number. That will all be at the help of the auditors as well. I'm going to let Dan talk on the project summary since I just got here.
Yeah. So, obviously, as we're getting to the point, and I realize now as we put together that schedule, we left out the point that next Monday, employees will start punching into the new system so that our first payroll will happen in BSNA using, so we have to kind of get that started ahead of time. So that will be in the second week of our BSNA implementation, we will run our first payroll. So we've been working for 2 years on the planning of this whole project, and I think you've all been aware of it as we've been talking about it. And we have really focused a lot on the engagement of all the stakeholders throughout the county. I think we talked a lot about it a year or so ago. We had put together pit crews, a whole bunch of important stakeholders from throughout the county to map out our processes and to understand what it is that we do and what is it that this new system is going to need to do. And we have continued to try and engage all of the departments in every step of the process. Another one of the priorities of the new system, especially as we went through the changes of SAP, was to really focus on the training. So we talk a little bit about that dual entry in February and it'll be 4 weeks that we are going to have training staff from the company that we're using here to train all of our employees and to be there as they do something for the first time within that system. So that was one of the things that this company provided that no other company was offering, and something that we really value to be able to get our employees trained in. The other part is the continuous training that will happen. So this company does provide 24-hour support. We can call them at any time. Any of our employees can call them at any time to be able to walk through any step that we have. So that was one of our priorities coming into that, and something that we are excited about as we move forward. So go live, we call it go live. That really means that we're about 70% there. So there's been a lot of mapping and a lot of changes that have happened, but like I said, on March 1st or March 2nd, things are going to hit really hard. So staff will be really busy. They'll be learning a new system. They'll be training within that new system while their everyday life is also happening. So they're going to have people stopping by their desk to do different things. So it's going to be a stressful couple of weeks within or month within the county. But what we're really looking for is 100% complete is user acceptance. That's when our staff are all content that they can do everything that they need to do within the system. And they know that this system is working better than what they had before. So we hear a lot, and I talked a little bit about how everybody loathes SAP. They're not going to have great things to say about BSNA on March 3rd, I guarantee you. But we'll kind of get through that time as we get through that new system and start learning how to use the next one. So we do expect there to be continuous changes happening within the tool. We know even as we've spent 2 years going through the planning process and getting everything together and learning everything that we are going to need to know, it's going to take about 2 hours into the first day to find out the one thing that we forgot about. And we're going to have to adapt on the fly in order to make that happen. And that's another advantage of having that on-site team there to be able to do that. So, and then finally, I just want to give a shout out to all of our staff, department heads, the finance staff, the HR staff, and specifically Tiffany Taggart, who has been an unknown, actually I do know how many, but a whole lot of hours digging in to understand all of these different numbers and how everybody's departments function from a financial standpoint, and how we need to map out all of those different numbers. That building of that chart of accounts, you got to see 5 of over 6,000 lines that exist to map our current budget to what it will be as we go into the new system. And there's probably another 1,000 lines that aren't directly mapped that we know we're going to need as we move forward. So that's kind of my summary. Like I said, we have a big couple of weeks here moving forward. We'll start training within BSNA next week and punching into the system on Monday. So any questions about that? All right, and then I will leave it to Jim. This last item is him.
On there? All right.
Do you have
No, I don't have a PowerPoint. I just wanted to mention, I put in the report, there were 2 questions that were raised at the last county meeting that I was asked to write a written report on. One was a summary of Act 235, the judicial privacy law. And then there were questions regarding firearms being on county property in the parking lots. That I cited statute for that one, indicating that based on state law in Wisconsin, we can't ban them from the parking lots. So that's a direct reflection. At some point prior to my time, there is a policy regarding guns, and that policy reflects that law. So I don't know if anybody has any questions regarding that report or.
Supervisor Larry Bjork.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank Jim for the good report in the packet about firearms in the parking lot. And it's heartbreaking find different ways that people settle their problems, even at hockey games.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess I bring it up because it's, it's a personal thing that, you, some really bad behavior. I mean, they're told things inside the building that they won't want to hear. And they come outside and, they're not blaming the judge, but they're blaming the opposing counsel. And even when the discussion is over, people go flying out of there with fingers out of their car windows, and it could just as well be a 357.
Yep. I personally, when I litigated cases, dealt with that, the parking lot confrontation. The one case I'm thinking of, all the way to the parking lot confrontation, and had to have bailiffs step in, and it's a scary scene.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no further questions. Dan, do you have anything else for the county manager's report? Are we good? All right, reports of departments, clerk of courts, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Katie Shalley. I'm the Dunn County Clerk of Court. Thank you for letting me present tonight. I'm going to go really quick. You all have a busy evening ahead of you, and my written report was submitted in your packet this evening. Tonight, we have our 3 circuit court judges with me. So Judge Meyer, Judge Wagner, and Judge Peterson are also here. Between the Clerk of Court's office and the judge's office, there are 26 employees. Oh, oops. Sorry about that. Here's a picture of our clerk of court staff. We actually had one day where all 13 of us were present to get one semi-good picture. So I thought that was worth sharing with all the ladies. Let's talk a little bit about our revenue collection. So we collected over $3.4 million in 2025. Not all of that money stayed with the county. A lot of that did go out to other agencies. At the end of 2025, we had $488,000 left in our checking account. A couple areas of interest. So we actually had our highest year of bank revenue interest collected. So all the money in our bank account, that interest amount was collected and retained by the county. So we were almost at $29,000 for 2025. Another area of interest was our interest income for civil judgment money cases. So for people that are ordered to pay the court's money and they don't pay it in a timely manner, we can issue a civil judgment against them and or suspend their driver's license. We had close to $24,000 on interest income in 2025 due to those people failing to pay their tickets in a timely manner. The interest rate was 8.5%. This year for 2026, the interest rate right now is 7.75%. Another notable area was cash bonds were ordered forfeited to the county. So for criminal cases, if an individual is ordered to pay a cash bond and they do not appear for court, the court can order their bond money be forfeited, and then that is turned over to the county as revenue. So we had over $38,000 in revenue collected by the county in 2025. This is just a brief overview. We had over $685,000 collected by the Department of Revenue. They act as our collection agency. This number is about a little below average from 2024, but we've been staying steady around that middle $600,000 mark for each year for collections. I know this is probably hard to read on this screen, but in your written packet, the statistics are a little bit larger there, but we had a little over 11,000 case filings in 2025. Over 9,400 hearings were also held by our circuit court judges and our court commissioner during the year. So it was a busy year. The circuit court judges did have a study done statewide, and the numbers came back that our Dunn County judges have the highest caseload in our District 10 out of all of the judges. So think of Northwest Wisconsin, our judges are having the highest caseload of cases based upon cases filed in 2025, which echoes, I think, everybody feeling busy and a little bit overwhelmed at times. So jury trials, we had a record-breaking low year for jury trials in 2025. Only 7 jury trials took place. That's the lowest number since 2020 with COVID-19 when we were shut down by the Supreme Court that we actually could not conduct jury trials. One thing that we implemented was doing a juror qualification questionnaire postcard. So we're trying to really have our jurors complete the questionnaire process electronically versus mailing back the paper form, having staff then have to scan and docket it into the jury management system. So far, it's proving to be really helpful. I think jurors like it. And if somebody wants a paper copy, we will most definitely print it off and send it to them. Interpreters, every year I talk a little bit about interpreters, but we had over 15 different languages used in 2025 and over 147 hours that were actually interpreted in court before the judges. The clerk of court's office, we scheduled interpreters 281 times. That doesn't just mean that there was 281 hearings, but that was the amount of times that we reached out saying, we have 3 hours worth of Spanish speaking individuals that need to have an interpreter present for. And then I did break it down by the cost as well for each language. This is just a brief overview of our budget. We had a really good budget year for 2025. We were awarded additional funding by the Director of State Courts Office. There was a legislative act that passed awarding the circuit courts $10 million statewide. Our county received over $53,000 in additional revenue in 2025, which helped our budget. I'm hoping that we're going to give back between $205,000 and $210,000 for our 2025 budget. And lastly, are there questions?
Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. More of a comment than a question. So this past September, I was selected to jury duty. Okay, and I just wanted to compliment your department and the whole crew out there. Really an easy process to follow. The questionnaire I thought was a really cool idea where we sent that back and obviously got you all the pertinent information you needed. It made it easy for us to share our contact info with you, your department, and then the communication process where you would text or email or both or call really made it nice. You usually knew before you laid your head on the pillow the night before if you were on your way in or not. And actually got called in a couple times. My final comment is that both situations I was called in for required us to be there for a little while and waiting to see if we were going to have a trial or what. It was assumed there was going to be one, but things happened. And but your staff, I just wanted to compliment your staff on making that process real easy, non-threatening, non-stressful, I guess, not the word threatening, stressful, non-stressful was the word I was looking for. So I just wanted to compliment you and your staff and the whole crew out there for the process was pretty seamless and easy and went about our day and that was it. That was that. So it was good.
Good. Well, thank you. I do believe that you were luckily chosen, but then maybe we didn't have a participant for the trial show up and we had to send people home, I think was maybe one of the
Correct.
situations.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we've got several more. Supervisor Story.
Thank you very much. Looking at the juvenile stuff, in particular, I'm looking at the juvenile guardianships. And when I also look at that, I see some of the other juvenile categories, the parental rights being forfeited and those kinds of things. I just want to understand that a little bit more because it looks like it's a large number compared to previous years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So our termination and parental rights cases, those actually stayed pretty similar between the last prior years, but are you wanting to know more about like what the filing entails and what the court system looks like?
What the difference is between some of those categories, because when I look at the 41 for wherever it went, juvenile guardianships, and then I go down and I look down and I see juvenile termination of parental rights and I see 8. I'm wondering if they're related somehow.
Sometimes they can be. So judges, do you want me to talk about it or do you want to explain the process? Yeah. Okay. If you want to come up, yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Formed not me personally,
Thank you, Judge Meyer.
Dunn County formed Family Treatment Court to reduce the number of terminations in Dunn County. Our numbers dropped significantly with the process of Family Treatment Court. So these numbers are much lower. This section includes not only terminations that are done by the county, but it also includes private terminations. And so that we don't necessarily control. Guardianships, juvenile guardianships, sometimes are brought by the county, sometimes are brought by private people. For example, a grandparent has a child left at their house, and then a month later they say, I have to do something about that. And then they bring their own guardianship. The county department isn't involved in that. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. I wasn't thinking about human services, but I also didn't think about what you just said. So I could see where that would be some different reasons.
Did you have any other questions?
No, I think you helped me quite a bit, Judge. Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Thank you, Judge Meyer. Thank you, Supervisor Story. Supervisor Steen.
Yes, Katie, are your interpreters allowed to participate remotely?
Yes, about probably 95% or 99% of them do all by Zoom. The only time we actually have them in person would be for a jury trial, and we did not have any jury trials in 2025 that required an interpreter.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Supervisor Steen. Supervisor Gary Bjork.
Thank you. I thought I heard when you were talking that there was like 11,000 cases that went before you. That's almost like a fourth of our population. I know they're not all Dunn County, but still.
Well, they're filed in Dunn County, and then they do go before the circuit court judges and the court commissioners. So yes, that case filing summary that is in your packet outlines all of the case types and the number of filings. So yeah, staff are very busy.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, it looks like you're off the hook. Thank you for a
Thank
lovely
you.
report. Housing Authority.
Can I put it on top of it? Hi, I'm Tammy July Lovera. I'm with the Dunn County Housing Authority. And just to kind of explain a little bit about where we're at, what we do. So the Housing Authority has two different programs. We operate a housing choice voucher program and a program that's called Family Self-Sufficiency. I'm the staff for all of it. And our office is at 1421 Stout Road. And just to so first of all, to explain a little bit about our primary program, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, also referred to as Section 8. How that program works is the program is offered to low-income households. Program is a rent subsidy program available to households that don't exceed 50% of the county median income, and the program operates off of a wait list. First step of receiving assistance is to complete and turn in an application. Next, all of the eligible applicants have to attend what's called a tenant briefing. It's about an hour-and-a-half long meeting. We go over the program guidelines and paperwork for the program. And then once they receive the voucher, which is just a form that sits in my office in a file for them. But once that is issued, they have 90 days to locate housing and receive the rental subsidy that's being offered to them. All the participants on the program are responsible for paying 30% of their household's adjusted gross income. And when we talk about housing costs, we're talking about rent and utilities gets figured into that. And then the Housing Authority provides assistance with whatever's left over. In 2025, our numbers for that program, we administered an average of 66 vouchers per month. In 2025, there were 10 voucher holders that left the program in 2025. Of the 10 that left, we had 2 that became over income, 3 that left the program voluntarily to combine households with their significant other, making them over income. And we did have to terminate 2 voucher holders, and we did have 3 of our voucher holders that passed away during 2025. We had 11 new lease ups in 2025 due to what's called the meetings that I talked about, the tenant briefings. And portability is when a voucher holder comes from a different jurisdiction. So we had a combined number of 11 new in 2025. Had a total of 176 applicants that attended 12 different groups of the tenant briefings that are required, and then 49 eligible applicants attended those meetings. Just a few kind of demographics for our 2025. We had 32% of our voucher holders are single parent households, 60% of our voucher holders are elderly and disabled households, and 1% of our voucher holders are two parent households. The average rent before subsidy was $764. The average housing assistance payment was $523, and the average rent paid by the tenants on the program were $243. And our wait list right now is 140 applicants on our wait list. A big change that happened with some budget issues in 2025 is that we now have a wait list that's growing, where in previous years, our wait list kind of just went every couple months. We cleared it out, but we do have some changes that came through, and so we're kind of, our wait list is growing. So if you kind of heard that a little bit, we went from averaging about 4 to 8 months wait, where now we're estimating probably 2 to 3 years. Our secondary program, the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, this is a sub-program of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. It is one that I believe there's, might be more in 2026, because we did have some expansion applicants, but last year there was 15 housing authorities in the state of Wisconsin that had the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. The main goal of the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, of course, is to promote our voucher holders towards economic independence. Program coordinates the vouchers with public and private resources. So we work with a lot of like the FSAP program and a lot of the other programs in the area to connect our voucher holders. And the primary focus of the program is to work on employability. So having an updated resume, completing training programs, completing secondary education, transportation, if there's any mental health issues, other family needs come into play, and connecting if there's any need for like financial education. That's another big focus of that program. We had, in 2025, we had 12 participants enrolled in that program. However, they're not all Dunn County participants. The Family Self-Sufficiency Program, it falls under the Dunn County Housing Authority, but we have a contract with WESCAP where that program serves participants, voucher holders in Dunn County and St. Croix County. So the 12 participants enrolled was combined in those two counties. And that was at the end of 2025. Throughout the calendar year, we had 15 on the program. That is the HUD requirement is that you have 15 participants per calendar year, which we have always had since the beginning of that program. The budget dollars, Dunn County Housing Authority spent $524,061.91 in 2025. I just want to say that I appreciate the support from Dunn County for the programs. And if you have any questions, obviously you can ask tonight, but you can ask anytime. Our website is dunncountyhousing.org, and anytime you have questions, you can reach out to me and I can explain the program. I feel like all of the programs, the housing programs get kind of intertwined and confusing. And so if you have any questions, anytime, not just when I come here once a year.
I have a couple for you
Okay.
lined up right now. So
Perfect.
Supervisor Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things, you answered a few of them already. One of those was whether or not some of those vouchers can be used in other counties, since we seem to not have enough space. And you said St. Croix County, you had something that related to them being able to use them in St. Croix County through a certain program. So you kind of answered that. It doesn't sound like the ones that, oh, go ahead.
Actually, that's not for the vouchers to be used.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just that sub-program. So it's like the Family Self-Sufficiency Program is a case management piece where we work on employability and, you know, issues towards creating self-sufficiency for our voucher holders.
Okay.
But the vouchers themselves that are being used in St. Croix County, those are the state's vouchers. So
Okay.
those are through WIDA. They're
Thank
not
you for
Dunn
that
County.
clarification.
Yeah.
I was also aware, I was on the West Cap board a number of years ago, so I was aware of some of the programming that they did back then. And then I also was able to get the answer to the question, since you mentioned waiting list, and that we have a problem, which I think we all knew with housing. But this is the problem I'm having and trying to figure this out, because I've been getting phone calls on this lately. Of all these apartments that are out there and these places for people to live, are they checked by you to see if they're livable?
The program requires that we do an inspection before any federal dollars go in there, of course.
And you do that then annually, or what?
For a new voucher holder, we'd have to inspect before the lease starts, before the assistance starts, and then at a minimum of once every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There are some situations where if the tenant reaches out with issues and that the landlord's not addressing, we could go in sooner, but we have to inspect at a minimum of once every 2 years.
Does that happen a lot?
The request for
Going in to check it out because the tenants are having some issues?
Not really. To tell you the truth, what I find more often is when I go after 2 years, there's an issue that I wasn't told about, because a lot of times the tenants are afraid to report that repairs aren't being done. And there's a few landlords throughout the county that have made it kind of well known that if they hear from me that, you know, they might not continue to lease to the tenant.
Well, safe to say, I'm aware that through the years, we could define some people as slumlords. So whether or not that still exists, I don't know, but I will throw that out there. But I do know that there seems to be a problem and an issue with adequate housing. And if they're not paying for the utilities, that's helpful. But still, if they're cold, or if their water isn't good, or if they've got mice or rats or those kinds of things crawling around, that would be a problem. That is a problem. And so I don't know what we can do about it. It's something I would certainly, I think, address with the mayor. Something should probably be done about it. But I appreciate knowing what you do and that you do check them periodically. So hopefully we can do a little bit more work on making sure our housing that is available is up to par. So thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Supervisor Story. Supervisor Lyon.
Yes, I was curious about what is the county median income? You said. Sorry.
I
I
don't
know
know
what you're saying.
offhand. I have my phone over by my jacket.
I think Dan's trying to find that right now.
Yeah, I could probably find it.
Well,
It's different for like a 1-bedroom household, a 2-bedroom household, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
71,000?
71,000, and that's how many in the household? Because that seems kind of high.
Yeah, it does seem a little high. Well, we're waiting on a little bit more. Supervisor Kinnear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned a change in the budget has caused a longer waiting list. Could you be more specific what the difficulty is?
There is just some cuts to the federal budget and there is some fear with the 2026 budget that housing authorities will be overspent. So HUD has put out kind of off and on over the last 6 months, has issued to stop issuing vouchers and kind of freeze the program.
And just a follow-up on something else. It seems like there's a whole lot of people that are eligible for it, but only a small percentage apply. Is that correct?
Well, we have quite a few applications. Typically, I have over 300 in a year. And keep in mind that the Dunn County Housing Authority provides services in all of Dunn County, excluding the city of Menominee. So when you're talking of just the villages of Dunn County, 300 applicants a year is quite a bit. Some of those are duplicate applicants. You know, they have their 30 days to find housing. They can't successfully do so and they have to reapply. I mean, that does happen, but still, I feel like we're one of the counties. I mean, I've been working in Dunn County for a long time, but I have done some work in some other counties, and I feel like we're one of the counties that we get a lot of applications compared to some neighboring counties.
Yeah, so if it's 300, and that excludes the city, that'd be about a 1% of the outer county that is applied at 300 to the approximate population of 30,000. So yeah, pretty substantial. Supervisor Headland, do you?
Comment. Tammy, what was your figure? 524,000, I think, is the amount that was spent. It cost Dunn County $49,000 of our budget to assist the money we get from HUD to pay Tammy and operate the Dunn County Housing Authority, which is really West Cap is really have a contract with them to do so. So I guess if you compare $49,000 to what it brings back, it's pretty substantial. We just wish we could get more than $524,000 because there's definitely a need.
Thank you, Supervisor Headland. Supervisor Barrier.
Regarding median income, the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission puts out every year county profiles. In Dunn County in 2023, per capita personal income was $50,772.
Well, and the figure that Dan had looked up, that was county median income for a 2-person household. And if you're talking about 50% of that, I was going to say, I thought that 1-person household, the cutoff right now was just over 30,000. So
33.8.
So that's our cutoff as far as if we can assist that household or not.
All right. Supervisor Story wants a second bite at the apple. I just need to ask if anyone else wishes to, who hasn't spoken yet, has spoken. All right, Supervisor Story.
Quick question. And when I was on the West Cap board, one of the things that they did annually was go around on a specific day to try and find all the homeless. Do you have a number on how many homeless we have right now?
No, I am not part of the PIT, which is the point in time, the PIT study. Yeah, it's still done. It was actually something that I started years ago because I used to work for the homeless program for West Cap. And it's still done twice a year in July and January. I don't know as far as if they located any. To tell you the truth, it's done late at night, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not the best study. When we started it, we actually used to contact like the hospitals, the police department, all of the shelters, and make contact with all of the different entities in the county that actually connected with the homeless. And now they go out and they look for people, but people are pretty good with not being seen, especially when they've already settled in for the night. So it's not the best study out there. You can always contact Christy from West Cap's homeless program, and she's the program manager for that, and she would know the numbers.
Well, thank you, and you need more staff.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions for you, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're off the hook and can flee. All right, on to item 10, consideration of reports, resolutions, and ordinance to the county board from the executive committee. Item A, 2026 budget amendment, CJC, and Sheriff's Department. You've all seen a lot of these, but if anyone has any clarifying questions they would like to ask, now would be the time. All right, seeing none. First call for debate, Supervisor Steen. Oh, no, okay. Oh, sorry, yes. I need a motion in a second. Thank you Supervisor Steen, and Supervisor Bauer. Yeah, apparently, I haven't run one of these, in person in a little bit. Right, now that we have a motion on the floor, we can go on to that first call for debate that I had just, offered. So does anyone wish to speak to the resolution? All right, seeing none. Second and final call. All right, we are ready to vote. This is a roll call vote because it's a budget amendment. Those of you who are in the room can vote on your devices. Those online, the clerk will collect your vote.
Supervisor Welsh. It appears that Supervisor Welsh said yes. Can you give us a head nod, Supervisor
up.
Welsh, or a thumbs up? Okay, or a smile? Great, all the way above. Great, wonderful. Supervisor Quinn.
Yes.
Supervisor Quinn votes yes. Supervisor Gentz.
Yes.
Supervisor Gentz votes yes. Supervisor Burnt.
Yes.
Supervisor Burnt votes yes.
All right, the motion passes. On to 11, consideration of reports, resolutions, and ordinances coming to the county board from the standing committees. Committee on Administration, ordinance amending Chapter 7, Financial Management, Meals and Incidentals, second reading. This is on the floor because it was, we had our motion and our second at the last meeting. Does anyone have any questions? All right, seeing none. Any speaking? Oh, Supervisor Hagan.
You're good.
Oh, don't. Try again.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, no, I just had a question about the overage. Just from my own personal experience with this in my previous life, my previous job. Over the amount, where was it? For the reimbursement where it says that the person has to be within the limit. I just want to know the decision to have that exact limit. My experience with my own jobs in the past was that anything above like that limit, the person is expected to like pay for that themselves. Like the company would reimburse up to that point, but nothing above that. Does that make sense?
Yes. Dan, do you wanna?
I'm just curious about that point.
I'm trying to find it. I'm guessing there's a piece in here from a meal that says any claims in excess, so that 5C, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, around that, yeah.
Okay, any claims in excess to per diem schedule must be accompanied by a receipt and written explanation to be, yeah. So, I think that's the exception clause, that, you know, you make a strict rule and it could hinder us at certain times. So that's an exception that's in there. I mean, I don't necessarily expect to approve any of them if they come in. But that's kind of why it's there. Is it's certainly not the norm, but you never know when something happens that it seems reasonable to make that exception, and we just need to make sure that we have that way out.
Sure, yeah. I was thinking like we would have a limit of like $15 for a meal. If it comes out to be $20, then we would be on the hook for that extra $5 ourselves as a person. Then
Yep.
we would have to pay the company that extra $5. Would that be something like this, or would that be, how does that work in this situation?
So this is a reimbursement, so you would have already paid the $20. You can only ask for 15.
Yeah,
Yep.
if the effect is the same, the order of events is different.
Okay. All right, that clears it up for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hagan. Supervisor Lyon.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to.
Or not. All right, anybody else with a question? All right, then, first call for debate. Seeing none, second call for debate. All right, we are ready to vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. AII, ordinance amending chapter 6, general administration records, retention and public records request, first reading. I will, first, any clarifying questions? All right, seeing none, I would need a motion and a second to put this on the floor. Supervisor Bashan moves, Supervisor Wolf seconds. Any debate will be held over for the second reading. Likewise amendments. So it's on the floor and we will, lacking any questions, move along. All right, 11B, Highway Committee Ordinance amending Transportation and Highway Ordinance, Chapter 1211, seasonal weight restrictions. Y'all are pretty familiar with this, I'm sure, but if anyone has any clarifying questions. All right, seeing none, Mark, I believe you're going to have an amendment. Right, we'll come back to you. So I need a motion in a second. Supervisor Steen moves, Supervisor Lyon seconds. It is now on the floor. Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As part of the Highway Committee, we would like to ask for an amendment to expedite this process from one reading into two so that we could take action on it at our next county meeting. So that.
So it's, yeah, so it's a motion to suspend the rules to allow us to vote at this meeting.
Correct.
And
That's what I want. Yeah.
There we go.
I was getting there.
Jim's got it. I've read it.
I was getting there. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
I was working my way there.
This is to allow us to put the road bans on early enough so that, you know, the roads don't break before we do this. Supervisor Thomas has made the motion. I would need a second. Supervisor Steen moves. It's a motion to suspend the rules, so it requires a 2/3 majority. Do we need to do this roll call or can we, that's what I thought. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are suspending the rules to allow us to vote without having a second reading. We are now into that space. Does anyone have any questions on the process as it is now going forward, the expedited process? Supervisor Thomas.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm assuming most of you have had a chance to see what vehicles would be exempted from this, like all emergency and household, you know, vehicles that need to get to our public to put fuel for their house to warm them, et cetera. Okay, thank you.
All right, so first call for debate. Seeing none. Oh, wait, Supervisor Barrier.
This is just a question. So why wasn't there a restriction before? Why is it just coming up now?
So it's a typical spring procedure and we had an unusually warm early snap, which is, you know, causing some of the melt. So we have a little bit less warning than we might normally have. So it happens every spring. And just, this is a little bit earlier than we normally would do it, but if you want a more thorough answer, I'm sure Dustin can provide that.
Yeah. Yeah, Dustin.
No, I mean, I think I understand.
Okay,
Thanks.
So
Supervisor.
it doesn't require an ordinance, so it's something that can be imposed by the highway commissioner. This is actually just codifying what we've always done, so that's available to the public to be able to see what's been done.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Right, okay. Supervisor Larry Bjork.
Chairman. I'm well familiar with road bans and how they work, but I've been kind of unfamiliar with how outside agencies and communities and Public Service Commission does what they will with us in the town of Springbrook or anyplace else as far as solar panels, and whether there's major construction north of B. I guess that's yet to be seen. But I mean, does little old Dunn County have the right to say, or have the ability to say to big conglomerates, hold your horses, boys, this is a road ban.
Pretty much as long as those trucks and heavy equipment are moving across county roads, the answer is yes.
Right, because I mean, there's be a lot of, I've just noticed some prep equipment in Springbrook, and I've, knowing that the road bans are gonna be close by.
Supervisor Jetson. Oh, Dan, did you have a?
Yeah, I was just gonna add specifically to the projects that you're talking about, we do have a development agreement with that group that does impose those seasonal weight restrictions on their work. Now, those restrictions aren't in place right now because I don't know if the ground is frozen or not, but they're not in place at this time.
All right, Supervisor Jetson.
I guess the technical term would be implements of husbandry, farm equipment. Any exemption, I mean, they're exempted under a lot of other state statutes on this. Is anything taken into account for that with the county?
And, there's a difference for divisible and non-divisible loads, but let's not get into that right now. Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One other comment, as you consider this is, permits are available, for purchase. So if somebody needs to travel one of our roadways, they can get a permit.
Yep, there's an
So-
exemption process.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to call that the end of the first round of debate. Do we have a second round? All right, seeing none, we are ready to vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. BII, resolution requesting long-term sustainability for highway funding. Does anyone have any clarifying questions to start? All right, I would need a motion in a second. Supervisor Morehouse moves, Supervisor Larry Bjork seconds. Speaking to the resolution, first call. It's pretty straightforward. All right, seeing no speaking, second call for debate. Also no debate. All right, we are ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Announcements, our next meeting will be March 18th, 2026. Supervisor Steen will be presiding. I will be attending remotely. Any other announcements? Andrew?
If you have a per diem sheet, please turn it in. This most likely will be the last time you will use a paper per diem sheet, because if we all have to have a new system, you all have to have a new system too. We will have instructions for that at the March 18th county board meeting, but just be prepared for that. So please get your per diem sheets, especially if you haven't turned any in yet for 2026. That would be helpful before we go digital next month.
All right, folks, that's, Supervisor Steen.
May I be grandfathered in?
No, I'm sorry, Chair McCullough. I didn't mean to speak out of turn, but no.
I think since you have to approve them as well as I do, you probably get to say no as well. All right, with that, we are adjourned at 1 hour and 8 minutes. Not bad, folks. Thank you all. Oh, hey. Oh, thank you. Thank you.